your greatest limitations often aren't physical. It's all in your mind. And that's often the biggest. It's very humbling to have people come up to me and they say that they see what I'm doing is inspiring, or they're really shocked at what I'm able to do. It doesn't matter if what their background is, what their political beliefs might be, their faith beliefs might be. It doesn't matter, background, race.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long-Term Podcast. I'm your host, Advin Villa. Today, we have one-arm legend, one of the founders of the car group Underground Kings, and Gym Bro. He's a person that I greatly admire and look up to. He's got so much wisdom. Nathan Graham. We will discuss overcoming adversity, setting goals, and the importance of mindset, understanding how people work, and building relationships, cars and sports. Everyone, welcome. Sweet. Welcome to the Long-Term Podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure that you're here. But yeah, how's your day so far?
Well, you know what? Can't complain. Took the day off, as I told you before, and just relaxing, catching up on some things around the house, and going to hit the gym after this. And
Oh yeah? What are you working today?
today is chest day, so it's going to be a good day.
Dude,
good way to start the weekend.
That's the best day ever.
Yeah,
Always see
it
you
is.
on those pec flies, man.
Yes, that's that's the goal. I want actually a little life goal, or not life goal, but a goal to end the year. I like to hit 305. I like to max that machine out. That's the
goal.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? How long have you been hitting the gym?
Just about a year consistently, obviously throughout my life, and especially in high school, I was really active, but then fell off the bandwagon, as a lot of people do, and back consistently for almost a year now.
Yeah, you get back up, right? I mean, there's days where it's not as, you don't want to go, and you just can't chastise yourself on those days, and you just end up coming. I know you've been very consistent. I see you all the time.
Extremely, yeah. I had a little shift. I had some life events happen in December, actually, of last year. And you know what? As bad as it was at the time, it turned out to be for the best, because here I am, consistent and achieving some of my goals. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, there we go. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Nathan, as you introduced there, and I don't see myself as anything too fancy or extraordinaire, but I do enjoy my sports, my cars, a lot of the dude stuff, right? I love doing that. I love hanging out with friends, doing things with friends, and I work the 9-to-5 job, but I also have some things on the side that I like doing. Work with a buddy who has a pool table company, and we work on pool tables and refurbish pool tables, move pool tables. So I like to keep busy.
Yeah. You play pool?
Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, I'm getting better. I have lots to learn. It's funny, you think you're doing good until you meet the old guy at the bar, and he's just an absolute shark, right? So you learn that there's always a bigger fish, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. Yeah. Nice little hobby.
Yeah. Is there only one mode of pool? Is it like 8-ball? That's like standard, right?
Yeah,
With, like, the professionals?
I would say that's the standard. You know what? In terms of the actual leagues and rules, I just know the basics. I guess I play by bar rules as I'm told. Tournament rules where you're calling your pockets and whatnot, that's a little beyond me. So I'm still at the stage where I just hope for the best. And if I hit a crazy shot, then you say that's what you meant to do and you move on, right? But I know it's been a lot of fun, and it's a great way to hang out with friends and meet new people.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's talk about overcoming adversity. How did you develop the mindset to overcome the challenges of being born with one arm? And what role did setting goals play in your journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as we were talking about before, it's something that has always been brought up to me throughout my life. It's very humbling to have people come up to me and they say that they see what I'm doing is inspiring, or they're really shocked at what I'm able to do, or, they come and congratulate me. Whatever the situation is, very humbling. And I never really thought much of it, just nose to the grindstone, just keep doing the work. And it's funny, later in life when you start reflecting on things, and I was starting to think as people started asking me, how did you overcome this adversity? What do you do to get up every day and keep pushing yourself? Like what motivates you? How are you doing this? And I didn't really have an answer. And I was starting to think about it more and more. And it's funny. I think the turning point for me was very early in my life. And what it turned out to be was accepting the adversity from the beginning. Now, I think that was more of a subconscious thing for me. But at the end of the day, the one arm's not going away, as I was joking about earlier, unless
Mhm.
Elon Musk's, grandson or something comes up with the super arm Iron Man hand. This isn't going to really change. It's something that I have to deal with on a daily basis, and either ignoring it's not gonna do me any favors, right? That's just gonna hold me back, and I don't think you should fight it either. I know a lot of people say you should fight adversity, but in my opinion, the adversity is what's going to make it challenging to begin with. So if you're doing an activity, we'll use the gym as an example because I know that's how we met. The weight and the resistance and that's tough enough, right? You're exhausted from that, physically exhausted. But if I got in my head that, oh my goodness, I can't do this because I have one arm, then I'm fighting a war on two fronts. Then I'm fighting my mind as well. So I find that if you're accepting it and you're trying to overcome it versus just flat out fighting it, it's something that I find that has really helped me uh, go about my life.
We revere those people that can do things that we can't. And a lot of people think that if they had one arm, they wouldn't be able to go on. I hear that narrative all the time. And that was one of my biggest fears, man. That's why I had come up to you and told you that you inspire me. I mean, I'm one of those guys that actually came up to Nathan. I really wanted to be your friend. I just wanted to, you're very positive with the people that you interacted with. And you said accepting adversity and to put that and to actually have some substance to that, right? How does that work though? Because if like your mind, it's there and it's been telling you to do a certain thing and a chaotic day uproots or maybe something life changing happens and you can't accept it. How do you go about doing that?
You know what? That's I think the question that each has to ask themselves. For me, maybe I view it as a blessing because as you said, I'm a positive guy, but maybe it's a curse. I mean, to each their own. But I was born without it, so I don't have any other reference point for myself. Should I have lost it in another way? I know if you've met me before, if you're watching this podcast, I don't know what story I told you. I have a few, but the real story is I was born without it. Um, so that's something that I like I said, it was able to. I had no frame of reference. But if you've gone through something traumatic, whether it be emotionally or physically, and that acceptance part is probably going to be, in my opinion, the hardest step. But the reason why I say acceptance is because, as again back to my situation, is not changing, and you can physically see mine, but I know a lot of people deal with more mental. That's probably even a bigger and more challenging aspect than something that's physically challenging. But when you accept it, as I said, you're almost using it as fuel. And everyone's dealing with adversity. Everyone's dealing with challenges. What's going to separate you from the pack is your ability to continue to push forward. To say that you will use something more simple, but you wake up and you got a sore neck, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to go to the gym today, or you know what? I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go to the family dinner today. Well, what if sore neck or not, I'm going to work on something else for exercise. I'm going to do light cardio, or you know what? At the family dinner, I'm just going to do more standing because sitting is bothering me. I know those are really maybe goofy examples, but my point is that you're still pushing yourself and accepting that people at the gym are also dealing with their problems, but they're still there. Your family members might be going through something in their personal life you have no idea about, but guess what? They're still there. It's something that you have to push yourself, and maybe it's the optimist in me that makes it a little bit better. But you, I think there's more of a risk of missing out on growing yourself and pushing yourself than there is falling victim to the challenges that you face.
There's always something that we can do with every passing day. And you had mentioned the neck being sore, and a lot of people will view that as an excuse to not do the things that they should be doing. And that's going to the gym. That's going to work. That's putting a smile on your face and being able to present to others in an uplifting and positive way. And that's infectious. And when I see people like you who are uplifting everyone around them, despite the card that you were dealt with, it's so freeing seeing that. And I think that's, you just found it confusing. Hey, when people came up to you, and do you get that often?
Yeah, at first I found it confusing, but as I said, the more you reflect on it, I view it as positive, and I try to be as interactive as possible. I mean, sometimes you get locked in, and or you're having one of those days, and maybe
Yeah.
I'm not the most talkative, but at the end of the day, I find that not too many people. I mean, one arm isn't the norm, right? I mean, two is. So a lot of people want to say hi or see what's up, and that might be the only interaction they have with someone with a physical disability such as that. So I try to make it as positive as I can, especially with kids, because it's funny how one experience can sometimes shape or put you on a path of thinking something's a certain way. So I try to take that responsibility on and be, as I said, as positive as possible. Because if I was negative or whatever the situation is, and then they had a friend or family member, let's say, lose a leg or something similar, I don't want them to be like, "Well, that guy that I met seemed so miserable. It seemed like it was just this life was spiraling. Now this is going to be my friend. Like this sucks." I would hope that in that situation, that hey, I met that one guy one time. He seemed really happy. He seemed to have it going for him. There's hope for my friend.
How do you maintain this positivity? I mean, there's a lot of people, you get looks, right? And people come up to you and this attention. Now, how do you go about being different? Like why,
Mhm.
like it seems that you have the stomach for it, kind of the attention, and that's, a lot of people can't do that. Like when people are looking at them, they go, "Oh, like stop looking at me." But you seem to revel in that. Were there some ways that you have had to build that skill up and being able to be approached by these strangers and ask personal questions?
Yeah, it's funny. It started at a young age, actually, and I have to give a lot of credit to probably my parents. It's it was early interactions maybe weren't the most positive as a kid, as you can imagine. I mean, we all have our things
Well, kids
with
are ruthless, man.
oh,
Yeah.
brutal, and
Yeah.
especially kids these days. I'm like, my goodness. But anyways, I'm sounding like my dad. But the kids would come up to me, and they would call me Captain Hook, because at the time, I think the Peter Pan movie or whatever just came out, the original animated one, and that kind of bothered me. I was like, well, I don't want to be the villain. That sucks. Like, I want to be the hero. Like, but it was funny as we were talking, or I was talking with my parents, like, oh, don't let that bug you, because if if they see that, then they're just gonna dig down. So my whole approach to that was, okay, Peter Pan, and don't call me Peter Pan. Well, don't call me Captain Hook, right? So I know that's again maybe a small example, but it evolved from that I learned that humor, and just showing that it doesn't bother you, that you embraced it, that it doesn't give that person any ammunition. If there's no chinks in the armor, if it becomes your armor, it's very difficult for people to use that against you. It's if you're not confident in it, or they can visibly see that it's bothering you. I find that you start to unravel from there. So for me, it's I almost address it immediately. Sometimes I'll say, oh, I would shake your hand, but my hand's full, or something like that. Or do you need a hand? Yeah, I do. A left would be great. Little puns like that where it completely shows that you're comfortable with the situation, and i- everyone loves humor. Everyone can use a laugh, and yeah, that's how I go about that.
Well, you see that with a friend group, and there's always that one guy, and everybody casts the joke on this guy because they give that reaction, right? And it's like yo mama jokes back when we were in elementary or in high school, and there's always the one guy who just was butthurt about it. But what you find is the guys who don't get made fun of, they're the ones that go along with it. Not to the point where it was actually just putting them down, because certainly setting up boundaries is also an imperative. It's important to have those boundaries where if it's like, okay, draw the line with bullying and teasing. But if it's like simple jokes too, and just being able to go around the joke, you're the person in charge. If they call you Captain Hook, you just revel in it. Okay, Peter Pan. Right? You show that, okay, you recognize that they are joking, and you don't let it fester in your mind and grow into this thing that becomes a part of you and comes out in insecurity. Uh, Definitely, a lot of people want to be shielded from the negativity, from hate, but it is necessary to growth. I mean, you live long enough, you'll encounter people that just put you down for who you are. And have you had people go up to you and just purposely put you down because of the physicality?
I mean, sometimes that's something that's going to happen, right? Like we live in a unfortunately, we live in a negative world, and people look, I think, for outlets to uh, voice their frustration or whatever is going on with their life. So I never really take that personally. Like I said, it's really hard to rock my boat when it's coming towards the arm thing, because it's something I've dealt with my whole life, and it's something that I'm comfortable with. And if someone is, attacking me from the physical standpoint, I find it's generally the source of that frustration or that attack is probably more to do with them than it is to do with me, just from my experience. So again, I never take it too personally. I, depending on the situation, might crack a joke, ignore whatever situation is. I mean, eh, again, it's something I never really like digging into. If anything, I like taking ownership of the situation and being like, oh yeah, that's very observant of you. Like, I forgot to put it on this morning. Actually,
Yeah.
you just have fun with it. Personally, it comes back to that positivity thing. I could view it negatively. I could be sensitive about it, but I think it's opened more doors for me, and I've had more fun with it. Ice breaking. Like, think of this conversation that we're having right now. Not saying that I wouldn't ever have sat in the chair, but I don't know if a conversation would have evolved to sitting down for a podcast had I had two hands. I'm sure maybe I would have developed something else, hopefully, that would have,
No, I think with your
brought
attitude,
it.
man,
But
you would have found something. Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it's opened a lot more doors for me, and I like having fun with it. And again, I'm full of goofy examples, but
Yeah.
what's one of the hardest things for us guys to do? To ask a girl, break the ice with a girl, right? So one of the things that I like doing, is you're at the bar or whatever, you order two drinks, and oh man, I can only carry one drink. You want this drink? Like
I,
and you break the ice that way. I haven't had someone say no to that yet. So
yeah.
little things like that. You just embrace it, stay positive, and it's something maybe that people aren't really used to. So I find maybe refreshing to them, and we just take it from there.
Yeah. Certainly, when I had first uh, seen you, I wanted to come up, but I didn't want to what you're doing, and just you're just going to the gym, right? Like any other person. I didn't want you to feel like you're being pitied, because of course,
Mm.
I'm sure a lot of people do that, and that's by who you are, knowing who you are now. There's no reason to pity you. You're a person that is grateful and with a great deal of agency and a great strong mindset backed up by many friends and family that love you. Uh, how do you, what would you advise to people with who are wanting to approach people with a physical
Mm.
disability, and they don't want to seem like they're pitying them. They just want to treat another person like a person, but at the same time, they're also curious. But it's finding that line of being respectful and also wanting to engage in a conversation.
And you know what? I think it's the biggest thing is I again, I understand why it's a highlight, but when someone comes and jumps straight into it, I'm used to it at this point. I don't want to say it's an annoyance, but if the first question right off the hop is, "Holy smokes, man! Like, how'd you lose your arm?" You're probably going to get a probably more fun response. But I know for some people that's really sensitive, especially if you lost it to meningitis, cancer, accident, whatever the situation is. It might not have as light as answer as you would from me. So I actually do a lot of volunteer work, or I did do a lot of volunteer work with a great organization called the War Amp Champ Program.
The what? Sorry,
The War Amp Champ
the
Program.
one arm,
The War Amp
War
Champ
Amp,
Program. Yeah,
like
ultimately,
amputee.
yeah, for
Yeah.
amputees. And
Mhm.
quick little history lesson is just the veterans from the World Wars got together and noticed that there was kids being born without limbs or losing limbs, and they wanted to have a organization to help them with leisure limbs so that they could do and compete in sports and whatnot. Really cool organization. But I did some junior counseling with that, and I got to deal with kids that had recently lost an arm or leg or both for whatever reason. And I find that the best thing that you can do is you hit the head on the nail at some point in their conversation, just treating them like a normal person, treating them like you would anyone else. If they're wearing an Oilers shirt, make a comment about the Oilers. If they're just killing it in a workout, comment on their workout regimen, or how they seem to be killing it, or what day they're doing, if they're doing legs or arms or whatever, tries, buys, whatever that might be doing. And then once you've sort of broken the ice, I would just say, hey, if you're not comfortable with it, I understand, but I'm just genuinely curious. But what happened to your arm? I've seen other people, or you can take it from there. I would never just go straight in. I know that's what people do sometimes, and like I said, I'm used to it. I like having fun with it. I like teasing people, sometimes telling a story of grand adventure and heroism, but not everyone's going to be at the same level.
Fought a bear,
Yeah.
killed the bear, but he got away with the arm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it was over a girl, of course, and
Yeah.
we had a duel in France.
Yeah.
You should see the other guy.
Yeah. No, he's got no limbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's bedridden.
Yeah.
Yeah, fought an army, 100 of them, in combat, one-on-ones,
Yeah,
lined
save
up.
the baby and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, to save 500 children.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
What's a go-to story for you?
Oh, GA. Probably my shark story. Everyone knows about Soul Surfer, and unfortunately, they thought a female in a two-piece bathing suit would be more appealing to the North American audience for the movie. But that whole story was actually based on me. Yeah, and my dad moved up here for work, so I couldn't really surf anymore, and here I am.
Were you in the two-piece?
Oh, gee, I think I looked pretty good too. But
I think you would have. Yeah,
the producers and that didn't
the
think
revenue
so.
had you been the actor for the movie Soul Surfer. Hey,
I think I could have.
Yeah, you would have been
I could have nailed myself in that part. Yeah,
might
absolutely.
sue, man. You should probably sue.
No, but
dude, they showed us that movie like 5 times in. I went to ABJ and middle school St. T's, and they just like about courage and resilience. They just like everybody just that because it's so physical. It's all out there. Because with mental health, you kind of go, yeah, he's sad, but how really sad is he? Right? You kind of, it's not as relatable because it's not in the physical, right? It's kind of, you can't really quantify how sad someone is if they're going through grief but when this girl that loves surfing just loses her arm, it's clear that something had happened. And most people have their arms, and the thought of not having that, it makes you question, okay, how am I How am I supposed to brush my teeth if I'm right-handed? How am I supposed to do this? Because you get so used to this reality that you forget that it can just change in an instant. Now, for the people that you have talked to that have recently lost a limb, what's kind of the most common mental affliction or worry that they go up to you with?
Yeah, it's I have to be careful with the way I approach things sometimes because I'm pretty loosey goosey about the whole thing. As I said, it's something that I've known my whole life. I don't really have a frame of reference to, and uh, even in that movie Soul Surfer that I was talking about in the movie theater, I'll never forget it. I saw it on the opening night with my mom, and the scene, one of the first scenes they showed with her back home was opening a bread bag, and she's struggling opening a bread bag, probably to symbolize that even the simple things in life is now hard. I actually laughed in that scene because to me, popping a bread bag with one, you
Yeah, it's
just
like
do
this
it
is
easy.
easy.
And I could see almost every head in the theater turn
Oh,
my
they're like,
direction. I was like, whoa.
they're like, no. It's just
I know you
it's not
can't
what
see
it
in the
looks
dark,
like.
but exactly. I'm not a dick, I promise. But no, but going back into the actual situation again, being in the junior counselor position of people too coming to me with situations where they had a limb and now it's without, or maybe in some cases even missing limbs, is one of those things where it's easy for me to say, and it's something that I preach, and I said in the beginning. Ultimately, in my opinion, it comes down to eventual acceptance. I know it's not going to happen right away. It's something that you're going to have to deal with probably months, if not maybe even years. But you need to embrace it as now this is what you have. This is who you are. And it's I don't think you should either put limits on yourself of not pursuing your passions anymore or your goals. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but you're going to have to pivot. Life is about pivoting. I think whatever you're pursuing, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have obstacles, things are going to happen, and it's never going to go as you draw it up. And losing a limb is definitely something a little bit more extreme. Not everyone's going to have to go through that. It is going to suck, but at the same time, you don't know what other people like. If you look at a lot of the successful people out there that you might look up to, eh, whether it be Connor McDavid, some successful business person, it wasn't a walk in the park. There was at some point, some way that they had to push through, and whether that would be mental, physical injury, you're going to have everyone's going to have something, and sure, you might maybe not get to where you want it to be, but I think you really need to take some solace and pride in, despite it all, that you're still chasing it. I think there's a lot of inspiration in that, and yeah, don't get lost in what hasn't happened. You can't do that to yourself. That's unfair.
Everybody wants the prize, but no one wants the process. Right? You see
Yeah.
these people with their all their success and their wealth, but what did it take to get there? You see these athletes in the Paralympics
Mm-hmm.
who have they're on the podium and they had just won the medal, but what did it take to get there? Right? There's always a path. For sure, one thing comes up and it's not great. You lose someone you love, you lose a limb, you lose the ability to engage in a certain activity, and you have to go through grief. And but there's always something that you can do. And like you said, it's about pivoting. And a lot of people, yeah, get the misconception that it's easy, that it's gonna be easy. And they make the excuse too that, oh, they were just born that way. That's why they're positive. It's just genetics, right? It's just they got dealt with the right hand and they I can't do what they do. But then you see Soul Surfer. She, like, based on a true story, literally won this competition with one arm, being able to hoist herself up, not letting it get to her. And there's countless stories of people going through the same thing. And I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is whatever you're going through, no matter how insane, how tough and rare it may be, chances are there's someone out there going through it. And if, let's say it's just you, and a rare chance, 1 in 1 billion, 1 in 7 billion, let's say you're the only person that it's happened to you. If you persevere, there's going to be another person with that same exact condition in the future or back when it happened, and you're testament to what is possible now. Before, it was impossible for a person that wanted to surf with one arm because their mind just didn't see a way. Like, how could I beat people with two arms? But then this one girl did it. And then somebody watching that movie goes, wow, I just lost my arm, but here is a person that's gone through the same thing, very similar, but has built something. Yeah.
Well, I find that it's, again, within reason. There's always going to be those situations where you might have to be, bring yourself back down to earth.
Yeah.
But your greatest limitations often aren't physical. It's all in your mind. And that's often the biggest obstacle that you need to overcome is what you can and cannot do in your mindset. Because there's some people that I find have maybe great health, but they're letting their mindset or misconceptions of what they see in themselves prevent them from actually chasing or pursuing what they want. And in some ways, I think that if you do have a little bit of a physical disability, whether it be something as obvious as missing an arm, or maybe it's just you blew out your shoulder in university or whatever the situation is, it's taught you from that point forward how to push through. I find that sometimes, I don't know if you found this, some people that haven't faced that adversity, haven't faced those challenges, they become complacent. They're happy at what, nothing wrong with that, but they limit themselves, and it isn't that they have some sort of physical challenge. It's just that they've have a mindset that's preventing them from growing and pursuing and challenging themselves to take the next step.
Yeah, it's going to be daunting at first because it's new, or maybe you've been putting it off and you're just expecting the worst thing that's going to happen. But chances are it won't be that bad. You've done it. Then you pursue that passion, and you kind of bring yourself down, because if it is rooted in delusion, right? Like if you're wanting to go to the moon and you're this person that you're just starting out and that's what you want to do next year, chances are that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan, and it needs to be rooted in reality. You need to somewhat, collect data to ensure that it is possible. Like, I know I said it is what's impossible can be possible, but it's going to take decades. There's not, maybe it won't take a year, but it may take your entire life. But it's about pursuing that thing and deriving joy and happiness from it. And once you get there too, let's say it takes your entire life to get there, you can't just focus too much on the result, because Robert Sapolsky has this saying of, like, the dopamine happiness, like why we do anything, like
right.
Reward and motivation.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people get the misconception and that it is the result that we're going for, right? When you go for your degree or you go for that car ride, that it's the destination. But most of life, it's the journey. And
process.
Dopamine is it's not the pursuit of happiness, but it's the happiness of pursuit. by just like living every day and going to the gym. It's like getting the 6-pack abs or getting that bench or maxing out that machine. If you didn't like getting to that set point, why are you putting yourself through that?
Mhm.
And certainly there's tools to be able to be in the moment, but yeah. What advice do you have for people to stay motivated and focused?
I think the biggest thing for me, especially in this last little, I would say that the last year,
Mhm.
is just building off of what we were just talking about, focusing on the process and not getting distracted by the down days. In fact, I've stopped tracking the amount of consistent days just in general with the gym. The days that matter to me are the tough days. The days that I sit down at the machine, we use PecFly, for example, because that's my favorite place. And apologies to anyone who does go to the gym we go to. If you see me there, I set up a tent. I have a little fire. I have my marshmallows. It's my favorite machine. You
Yeah.
can join me anytime. Come say hi. You can work in
Yeah.
with me.
He's
But
doing 12 sets on there.
yeah, it's one of the few machines that I can evenly do my chest. So
Mhm.
I'm there. But anyways, on the days that where you do your warm up set and you're like, frick, like this is not a good day. Like you
I want to
just
go
know,
home.
like no matter how much you try to trick your mind or hype up, you watch a reel, you put in music, you read a text, maybe that fires you up, whatever you do, and it's just not working. Those are the days that I actually have now switched my mind to, all right, like
Let's go.
today's the day.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is the go day.
This is where I
And
grow.
it's funny because you're not going to hit a PR that day. Well, you might, but you're not going to hit a chance there. You're not going to hit a PR. But the fact that I'm there and I'm doing it, I've been training my mind to find that more rewarding than the actual PR or the actual goal. Like those are the days that I live for. So going back to your original question of my advice to maybe people is focus on things like that. Focus on the consistency. It's easy to have your goals, and don't get me wrong, you need to have your goals of your whatever that might be, whether it be career focus, whether it be financial, family, whatever you're striving for in your life. But focus on the process and understand that you're going to be faced with adversity on any pursuit of either greatness or pushing yourself. And I would argue that it's not just going to be the adversity. I hate to say it, but a lot of people, sometimes those closest to you, are probably going to try to pull you down. It's unfortunate that that happens, but by taking the step up, they might be more concerned about themselves and how that makes them look, and they might want to pull you off the chair.
Yeah.
So
And
expect that, prepare for it, and just know that it's going to be worth it in the end. Because when you do hit those goals, you'll be able to bring them up.
sometimes it's because they don't want you to get hurt, and they forget that you have been through worse, and they think that, oh, like, them pursuing this is something that's gonna end up taking a blow at their confidence and their passions. But yeah, man, do you bench?
Bench.
Yeah, like the bench press.
Oh,
yeah.
If I got and wore my arm, maybe. But as of right now, I don't think I would be able to without.
I think there's like
arm.
cool little attachments
There is,
you
yeah.
could have. Yeah. Do you see that? I see that all the time. It gets recommended to my Instagram. Like
It is,
these guys having an attachment for deadlifts,
yeah.
like a string that they attach on. Have you ever tried that?
I think eventually, I think
Mhm.
maybe next year I'll consider that, and because my whole vision was my first year, I just wanted to get in better shape, get stronger,
Mhm.
lose some weight. I just wanted to do those type of things, and I was like, you know what, I'll reassess after a year. The first thing is just being consistent, because I don't know how many times, I'm sure other people are in the same boat I am. How many times I was like, hey, this is the year. And then I would like to say a few months goes by, but sometimes it's just a couple weeks and you're back in front of the TV vegging out, right? So that was my biggest goal, I would say, was just the consistency aspect. And
Yeah. And then I really admire the part where the most important days are the days where you don't feel like going. Because when you go on those days, then the days where it's all right, it's an average day, it's just a breeze.
yeah, I don't know if it was like Ronnie or was it Muhammad Ali, or there's some one of those guys, and they said they only count when it starts hurting for the workouts, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it's easy to do your rep 10 and be like, nice, nailed it, but where's the gains in that? Like, we're like, let's push it up, right? And that's why I'm constantly. I've learned, though, you can't go push yourself too hard, because if you hurt yourself, then you're back a couple of weeks. But uh, I just, to each their own. It depends on what you're trying to do. But for me, I always want to, like, if I'm not moving into the next calendar month and I'm not up a peg or two, or I'm not increasing the reps or doing something else, that bugs me. I want to keep picking it up a notch.
Fair.
Yeah.
Hey, courage is not going on when you have strength. It's going on when you got none.
Yes.
Because
100%.
when your mind is just discombobulated and you feel that immense pressure and you even feel you're starting to doubt yourself. You're
Yeah.
going, am I cut out for this? Why did I even come here? Then you get through it. That's where you just get opened up to all these possibilities of, you do see that marathon as a possibility, because you had gone to the gym and ran the however kilometers that you thought you couldn't do. And then maybe it's a degree. You wanted to pursue that degree and you kind of doubted yourself. You eventually got through it. Or that job that you applied for, that what's the point in me applying? Then you got it. And then before that, you had been rejected 20 times. And it's about, just not stopping. And
Well, it's funny too. You have to stay in control of your mind, because I don't know about you, but even the littlest things will try to find its way to seep in and create an excuse for you. Something is, and this is dumb, but like a zit will be on your forehead. And you're like, man, do I really want to go to the gym?
yeah,
Everyone will be
people can
looking at
see
that.
Yeah, I don't want
that's
to.
gross. That's
Yeah.
like, what? How does that have to do anything with your routine? How does that to do with anything? Who cares? Like, everyone's focused on their own thing 9 times out of 10. That's just you coming up with some random, and I just use that as again, my silly examples, but I think there's some validity there, that anything can be used as a reason to not do something.
Yeah. It's raining outside. That's an excuse. It's snowing. I didn't get enough sleep. I don't feel that today would be a great day. I think let's push it off tomorrow.
Guilty as
All these
charged.
things that rationalize
In
why you
summer,
shouldn't.
you're like, oh, it's when it's nice and warm out, I'll go to the gym. But then when it's summer, you're like, friends are doing things, it's busy, patios. I want to enjoy the summer. In the winter, when less things is going on, I'll do it in winter. Then winter rolls around again. You're like, oh, it's cold. The roads are crap. I'll do it in the summer when the roads. Vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're certainly testament to a person that has a full-time job and that has gone through a life where it isn't a normal life, but you still find time to go. No excuses. Because have you ever met people who let their physicality, like the way they look, or just something small, right? Like you said, the zit, and they don't go to an event because they fear that there'll be casted judgment, and that there's no point in doing it, and they make this narrative in their head why they shouldn't do the thing because it'll hurt them in the long run. And while it's like it's well thought out, there's a lot of evidence, but at the same time, you're not going to the gym, you're not doing the things that you want to do, but you're limiting yourself. And going back to the theme of the mind,
Yeah.
right? Uh, can you share a specific moment where your mindset and determination has helped you overcome a significant obstacle in your life?
Yeah, that whole mindset thing began to shift uh, when you asked me that question. You're thinking of to think of in advance. The thing that really stood out to me was in school. I At first I wasn't really a sports guy, to be honest, but then I was in a really small school, and all the cool kids played sports. Like that was the thing, right? Everything was the sport team there. If you could get on the sport team, you made it. So then I started paying attention to more and pushing myself. And the one thing that I absolutely started getting to me, if I was being honest, is being picked last. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, if I was picking someone to be on my team, theoretically, you're twice as good, theoretically. So I'm gonna, choose Advin over that Nathan guy because of obvious physical what would be perceived advantages. So I worked extremely hard from the my goal early on was to not be picked last. That's all I wanted. I didn't care if I was picked second last, but at least I was chosen. I wasn't just given to a team, right? And I think that because of the sports being so important to that school became then therefore important to me and to I hate saying fit in, but at that time, that was what was. Now I couldn't care less if I fit in, but I think early on, especially in our
Mm.
early ages, I think that's very important that you have a circle to associate yourself with. So that really began to sculpt my mindset early on to continually push myself, set goals, and like I said, to develop myself to the point where it didn't matter if I had one hand. I was being picked. Like I still wasn't never picked first. At least I don't think I was ever really picked first. But hey, I was picked in the middle of the pack. That was a goal in itself. I was happy, right?
Yeah. Moving this goalpost of, okay, you establish a goal, and then you get to that goal, and then you move that goal again, and you're deeply unhappy with your life, and you set that goal again, and it's like this moving goalpost, and you never actually revel that you did do the thing, you did accomplish what you sought out to do. And this book I'm reading, it's the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. He writes in a book about kind of the root of happiness is moving this goalpost, kind of having our expectations just be rooted out of reality and never being satisfied. But it's just, I really admire that you had set this goal of not being picked last. Then you had accomplished it. Anything over that is a bonus, right? And sure, maybe you get picked first, but it's just you were picked last at one point. Don't forget that. You can't forget that. That's where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know one thing for me too that I learned in my later years is I love moving the goalposts because I am the most complacent. I know this might sound like a shock to you, but I'm naturally the most complacent, lazy person. If I let myself slide, oh, everything would be. I could lose my gym routine in 2 days. I promise you. Like it is so. I'm that close to
It's
the
that
edge.
fragile, hey?
And so that's why I'm constantly moving my goalposts. That if I see myself about to hit a goal, I'm immediately thinking about the next stage. And if the goal's been to the point where it can't be maxed out anymore, I'm looking for another arena because I need to keep moving forward. If I'm not moving forward, like I said, it's just who I don't know what it is with
I think
me.
that's just human nature, man. But it's kind of
Yeah.
tuning that down, turning it a bit,
Again, like you said, don't
quieter.
forget where you came from. Take some pride in wherever you come from and what you've accomplished. But to me, my most dangerous enemy is complacency. It would be so easy for me just to sit in the chair and say, hey, I had a good run and talk about the past. right? I'm going to
Yeah.
be that guy, right? But I don't want to be that guy. It'd be very easy for me to be that guy though.
Yeah. And
No,
it's-
I would have made the NHL if I didn't hurt my ankle, that type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. But yeah, man, definitely just I think you could teach a master class onto overcoming adversity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate
I
that.
could I swear, man. It's like I'm being inspired right now. Like I feel like I just wanna go get after it right
Yeah,
now.
let's do it. Yeah.
uh how do you approach building strong, genuine relationships, whether in your personal life or within your car group, Underground Kings?
Yeah. Yeah, so Underground Kings is a car club that me and a few friends helped, I guess, co-found and create. Ultimately, I think the key to any relationship is you need to have at least one of the three of common value, common goal. You need to have something that you can rally behind. I feel like otherwise everything is it would just be shallow otherwise. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to build a connection that genuinely lasts, that stands back to adversity, you can't just have some surface level conversations. I just play games with them. I just drink with them once in a while, whatever the situation might be. Uh, I find that the best relationships are when you are, pursuing something together, or you have a similar passion. And in the case of my car group, it's passion, right? We all love cars. We want to we put our time and our money into our cars. We're constantly talking about what we want to do, upgrade, dream car, and it gives you a sense of camaraderie, right? Camaraderie, sorry, where y- you you're pushing each other. And in those days where maybe you know crap hits the fan, you blow a tire or something breaks, and you're like, do I just throw in the towel? It's nice to have people be like, no, man, you're talking about, this, or whatever happened to that, and we keep on going.
Those are the best relationships, say, when you have an objective, and whether it's building a house
Mm-hmm.
in the metaphorical sense too, when you're at the gym, what's the common goal for all of
Yeah.
us there? We're trying to better ourselves. We're trying to build the body to become stronger, not only physically, mentally, and I'd add in spiritually. I'm pretty religious.
Yeah.
There's this common root too, and when it comes to building things, there's the struggle. It's like, oh, when you add this one thing in your routine, or when you add this layer in the foundation, how does that stand well with the other supporting structures, and even with design, the fits that you show up in the gym with, kind of just being part of that team, that camaraderie, right? In
Mm-hmm.
your car group, it's okay, what kind of specs and which wheels match with this car? Have you heard about that? Where did you get that? I need to save money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, did you hear about that guy? He was speeding this much. Oh, he got a radar. Another ticket, man. That.
Speed suggestions?
Yeah.
Speech? No.
Yeah. But definitely, I think, how do you go about finding other people with the same interests as you? Do you just approach them cold turkey, or do you go on Reddit? Like, do you meet up in car groups, mutual friends? How do you go about that?
Well, that's a great question. For me, it's probably, I don't want to say cold turkey, but I'm a very sociable person. I like knowing what makes someone
Mhm.
click. I've found that in the early stages, I just wanted to talk about myself. I would find you, I would corner you, and then I would love to just tell you about everything that I was interested in. Yeah, everything. Like, whatever game I was playing at the time or whatever. And the older I got, I was like, man, because then I would get cornered by those people, and I was like, oh, this is what it's like. Nice. So I've learned that if you show a genuine interest in someone, you're just asking about their story, about what they're passionate about, what maybe what their goal is, or in the example, we keep going back to gym because I know that's a common area for us and how we met. But you notice someone, always on the cardio machine or whatever. Hey man, you're killing it there. You doing any runs, or what are you up to? And you can kind of open it up that way. So I find that asking questions is probably the best way to go about something like that if you want to meet someone, and possibly, you know would be it build some sort of relationship with them, however that might be. And yeah, so to answer your question, probably more cold turkey. I don't think you can, if you have a diagram or a drawing board and I mean, if that's how you go about it, that's sure. But I don't think you can really draw something out like that. I think I'm trying to go through my head right now. I think every good friend I have, I didn't go out of my way with the explicit mission to be like, that guy's going to be my friend. It happened just from.
The way I view friendship, it's progressive overload. Like in the gym, first you meet them and you start off light and talk about the day, maybe
Yeah.
at work. Then you try a little bit. Maybe you wanna you wanna be brave, okay? Max out, unload some vulnerability. Like, yeah, went through this thing, and maybe they respond well and it
Mhm.
does well. You get that overload, and then maybe you do another day and you hit this instead, and you go, hey man, like there's this thing that I am really interested in. Are you also interested in this? And maybe they are, maybe they're not. You measure out kind of what kind of routine works, and eventually you guys just fit together. And sometimes it just doesn't fit. Like sometimes it's just you guys aren't
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yeah.
It's just you have to break out with the gym bro. Okay,
Yeah.
like you guys are just strictly gym friends.
Yeah.
What I find is sometimes you have that friend that you meet strictly in car meets, and then now you're just having beer with them on a Friday night, or
Mhm.
you text them, or you guys send memes to each other. It depends, and certainly fit in that mold. And I relate to that too, to just cornering someone like, oh god, here's Advin again trying to tell me about his gym routine and just not listening. And a quote comes to mind with, I think it's Zeno, a guy from Stoicism, and we have two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Mm. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, like too many people do a lot of this, not enough listening.
Mhm.
And just, you said, with genuine curiosity.
Well, especially in today's world where we're just go, go, go. Everyone's just so focused on themselves. I find that even when someone is genuinely just interested in me, it's rare. You want to talk to them because you're like, oh, you actually want to find out about, whatever that topic was. So yeah, that's a key way, I would say, of building, or at least starting to build a meaningful and solid relationship for sure.
Yeah, bro, I came to you and I was just genuinely curious what you're hitting.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started off, and same thing, like what we met like 4 months ago, like a year. At least I think it's been a year,
think
bro.
it's close. I think it was close to when I actually
Yeah.
started going regularly there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I see this guy all the time. I want to talk to him, what he's up to. But certainly too, it's I've come to the problem of just knowing too many people, and certainly a friend to everyone is a friend to no one.
Mm.
You really have to manage your time, because I'm spending too much time at the gym, man.
Oh, gee.
Because then I don't want to be a dick to the people that matter to me. Like certainly if I see you, I want to know what you're up to, and I'm going to give at least 5 minutes of my time to ask about the weekend, to ask about anything, any video games, or what muscle group you're hitting. And you have that too many times, you don't get a workout done.
Yeah. That's,
yeah.
that's true.
What do you think are the key factors in making people click and form meaningful connections with one another?
You know what? It might be a bit redundant, but it's really key to have those similar interests or values, or have those passions. I don't think, again, I think you can be friendly with people, but if they see the world opposite of you, chances are you might build off of each other, or you hang out, or be friendly, like I said. But in terms of actually building relationship, I think you really need to have common ground, something that you guys can both relate to, whether it be something as simple as, again, the gym. Maybe you're both working out, you're both sweating,
Yep.
you have goals, you're seeing each other, you're pushing each other, you're seeing each other. Uh, Maybe you see the physical results, bigger muscles, losing weight, whatever that goal was. You need to have those things that, otherwise, what is there besides just asking about the weather or just asking questions for the sake of questions,
Hey,
right?
Rob, how's the weather today for the 100th
Yeah.
time?
So do you like weather? Like
Maybe you're just really passionate about weather. Maybe that's something you
yeah,
guys
maybe you're a
talk about.
meteorologist.
Like,
Maybe you're trying to finish school up so you can go on global or whatever. But you see, that's not a really interest of mine. So chances are that's, they're, I'm sure you'd meet someone that's just as equal. Maybe they want to be a news anchor or something, and you guys can hit it off there. But yeah, without that that commonality, I just feel like you got to latch onto something, whether it be in my car group, the gym, whether it be books, and again, some of that stuff might be somewhat surface level, but you got to start somewhere. And I find that from those conversations, from those interactions, then maybe you add each other on Instagram, Facebook. Again, finding more about each other. You have spare tickets. Hey, you want to go to the football game? That's actually how probably one of my best friends. That's how we ended up hitting up. We worked together. We both like hockey. We just chit chat about hockey. And then he hit me up out of the blue. I have an extra Eskimo ticket. You want to come? And I was like, sure.
why not?
Why not? and a bunch of years of mayhem and friendship after that, right? So, yeah, that's I would say the beginnings of any great relationship is have some sort of common ground.
Yeah, and then it goes into birthdays. Like, out of all the people you've talked to, you want me to come to your birthday. It's
Yeah.
like, you want me to go to the Eskimo game? Like, you had a spare ticket. You chose me.
Yeah,
It's always like, I always find that to be like
I was
such
sure I
a
was the last
massive
choice,
compliment.
but
Yeah, it's like, you thought of me. I just don't want to make it too dramatic, but
yeah.
me out of all people.
Well, hey, just putting that out there. If you ever have a spare ticket or anything,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
rarely say no to things. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know you're a big events guy, hey?
Yeah,
Like, you love
well,
the sports games.
definitely
and car.
sports and that, right? I mean, if you're
Mhm.
taking me to, I don't mind concerts, but uh, I would say more sporting events is definitely up my alley.
That's fair. I'll
Yeah.
keep that in mind, man. But one thing's for sure, we need to get a workout one of these days.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe light on the cardio. Your cardio games.
Oh, dude, we gotta hop on
little-
my cardio. I gotta introduce you to my cardio, man. He loves everyone. He's definitely at the start. He may whip you a little bit.
Oh, gee.
Over time, though, you'll get used to him.
I feel like he has a lot to take out on me for the first little bit. Yeah. Years of neglect.
How has building relationships played a role in your success, both personally and as one of the founders of Underground Kings?
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work. I know that is an age-old saying, but it really is true. And especially with me being shorthanded, sometimes I do need an extra hand, right? I mean, that's just the name of the game. And I find that having a very supportive, whether it be community or friend circle, means everything. Because you can be the strongest willed person, you can be a lone wolf to a degree, but at some point you're going to need some support. We're human. I think it's human nature. Everyone at some point, whether it just be one person or whether it be a community, you're going to lean on someone at some point in your life. There's going to be an event that you don't see coming. Maybe and not everyone has that dug their well before they're thirsty, right? So having a community, having people that have your back, it means everything. Gives you the confidence to keep on pushing forward. I know for me, my friends, family mean absolutely everything to me. That I know that if things were to go awry, they would have my back, no questions asked. And when it comes to the car group, I think it's the same mentality, right? Where whatever happens, we know that we have each other's back. I mean, we're out at events or whatnot, and anyone who's been to those car events can know sometimes things get interesting. Eagles get bruised, or
Dude, I swear the cops always show up to car meets. I know I'm not a car guy,
oh
but
yeah, or
it's just the
things
guys driving
happen.
their
Yeah, I mean
trucks.
we're entirely innocent. We didn't do anything to break the rules. No, but it and through those experiences, I feel like your relationship always takes the next step too. I know that, speaking from a personal standpoint, you to reach that next level, you're talking about building meaningful relationships. I think what then takes it to the next level is making it a long relationship, because you can have a meaningful relationship, but before you know it, a few months go by, situations change, yeah, and you barely talk to them anymore. I think what will really make it the length of the relationship lasts is those shared difficult times where it was just you and them, or you and that group against the world.
And
And
it's constant effort. And
yeah, you have to
Mhm.
put in effort in those situations, because at that point, rubber's meeting the road. It's If you're not going to put in effort, you're not going to meet that challenge.
I'd actually love to read this. It's brought to mind this newsletter by my favorite podcaster, Chris Williamson, and he starts off with, everything degrades over time if it's not attended to. If you don't grow together, you grow apart. Friendships, relationships with your siblings and parents, life partners, all of these require nurturing on a consistent basis. Otherwise, life pulls you apart. You change, they change. Eventually, you don't recognize each other. This is an ugly truth. Disney's romanticism of companionship is that once you've made a connection, it'll be there forever. Everything degrades over time. If it's not attended to, the best friendships I've ever had are with people who I'm sharing a struggle with or helping grow. But at the very least, relationships require attention and cultivation to keep alive. Everyone is busy, and if you're not regularly involving yourself with someone's life, the hole that you take up will be filled by something or someone else. If you don't grow, you grow apart is a part of a great description because it's hard to reach inertia with friends. They tend to either be strengthening or weakening. Rarely are they static. One of the best solutions I've found for this is to cultivate a habit of texting people immediately whenever I'm thinking about them. Friends, parents, podcast guests, whoever. If a memory of us comes up, I'll message and say I'm thinking about them. It's a tiny effort to keep and hold a friendship that you probably really care about and will miss if it drops off. Unattended, gardens wither and die. Try to keep watering yours.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I think, sure, I can love people, things change, but that friend, sure, you guys are still friends, but it's not as strong,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, that's very true. Everything's going to boil down to effort at some point, right? You're going to have to I hate saying uphold your end, but that's what it is at the end of the day. You're not going to always be receiving. It's not always going to be the quote unquote 50-50, right? I always think that a good relationship's 100-100. Like, you're putting in 100% of the effort. Hopefully they're putting in 100% of the effort. As soon as you try to split it down the middle, I feel like that's the beginning of the end. You're gonna start having situations where it's you owe me, which
Yeah.
I don't think is a great mentality to have.
Yeah, have you ever heard of people that say, oh, they don't reach out to that one friend anymore, or they don't engage in that group because they never reach out to me? I'm always the one that reaches out. But then you ask them, like, were you always the one to reach out? And they say yes. It's like, no. You just change your mental framework towards the friendship. The friendship didn't change itself. You changed your own behavior. Maybe you felt resentment. It's you're the reason why that friendship isn't no longer strengthened or no longer sustained.
Mhm.
And I felt that, bro. I've gone and yeah, my buddy never reaches out. Like we're never like we're just not friends anymore, I guess. But then it's like I think about it and I go, I was always the one that reached out. What changed? And it's they always show up too. It's like they're usually if they say no, it's usually something that they really had something to do. But if you ask them 3 times and they say no each time, okay, chances are maybe they're just truly busy or they don't want to hang out with you. But you screen for that. But it's going back to that effort, kind of the mind with it. People gravitate towards you if you're just genuine, you listen, you have the best of intentions. And the ones that don't, they don't put in effort, so they won't come out. And if they are the ones to not go to the gym and engage in the core activities, they're not going to show up too. So it just withers away and they find something else. You find something else.
Yeah, I find that in those situations, I don't want to say that it's up for it. It's ultimately you need to take solace and be confident in yourself. I find that and I'm notorious for it too. I've been on both sides, but I've been notorious for be that person that I don't reach out. I always appreciate when someone, checks back in. But at the end of the day, as someone who's often on the end of the, hey, I haven't heard from you. Like, what's going on? Because sometimes I get very laser focused on my stuff, and I don't prioritize my friends or family as much as I probably would like to. It's then my responsibility to make the time, and it's never going to be convenient. So
Never.
That's what I always say for people that are like, oh, I fell out of touch or whatever. I've been on the other side too, so I get it. But if the other person's making an effort, at some point you're going to have to make a decision. Not going to be convenient. Maybe you don't feel like it, but do you still value this person to the point where the best thing you can do is give someone your time. So I think that's ultimately what it boils down to. And then flip side of that, if you're, like you said, you've been asking multiple times, and here you are now, 4th time, they canceled on 3 of them. To me, that's they say actions speak louder than words, and that's something that, again, I wouldn't take it personally. They could still very much still value you to a degree, but at that point, I would say you probably should maybe shift your priorities.
Yeah, if you place too much attention on that, then there's your family, there's other friends, and
Yeah.
you'll be there for that person, and it'll come when it comes.
Exactly. Yeah, it could just be where they're at too. Never take it personally. And I don't know about you. I'm a big believer in never burning a bridge. That, like, I do my absolute very best to never burn a bridge, because networking is everything. So I find that if you leave on good terms, like you said, if they have a changed heart, their life situation changes, they'll come back. And it's being always upholding yourself to a higher level of, don't get petty. Try not to. At least that's not me. Don't look into things too heavily. I find I know it is an overthinker, naturally overthinker. It's really hard for me not to overthink about things, but try not to overthink it. Try not to overcomplicate it.
Like,
leave
he
it
looked
amicably.
at me funny. Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he said that with that tone.
Yeah.
Like, you can, maybe he had bad intentions, but if he's still your friend, that could just be a state. He didn't mean it. But if they're actively trying to put you down and it's clear and it's obvious, and they're doing it in front of all your friends, and even when you're alone, they put you down, yes, drop that person. But if it's like, maybe you didn't have much sleep and they make like a sarcastic remark the one time, not gonna fly off the handles and like, Nathan, like put up against the wall. It's like chill, bro, chill.
Yeah, 100%. And even if it is in a situation where they've mistreated you or they've stepped out of line, again, I'm a strong believer in trying to be like, I'm not perfect. That there's been situations where I've snapped, and unfortunately, I'm that person that bottles up enough that when I do end up snap, it's like Chernobyl. Like, it's an absolute disaster. So I need to work on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do try my very best to, like I said, never burn a bridge. You never know what someone's going through. You'd be surprised sometimes the conversations that have happened where I don't want to say I forgot about them, but they've been away from my line of sight, and they're like, hey man, like, I was just going through a really, really tough time. I appreciate you for not taking it personally. This happened. What are you up to? Or
It's
whatever
like,
the situation
it
might be.
takes a whole lot of guts to be able to forgive and
Mm.
to ask for forgiveness. Both ends. It
Yeah.
requires both ends. Ends require a great deal of effort and humility and compassion, because nothing worth having comes easy.
No.
Ever. So you're big cars and sports guy, hey? That's kind of where you're at. What's
Yeah, I
your
think
favorite
that
sport?
came up a couple times. Yeah.
I think that's your entire Instagram.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cars and
I'm a
sports.
simple guy. What can I say?
So what drew you to cars? And actually your car outside ban. I was like, yeah, that's gotta be Nathan.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
when you pulled
Yeah.
up a front.
Gave it away.
Yeah.
That's funny with cars because ultimately with my family, it did skip a generation, I would say, with my dad. Funny enough, a lot of my uncles on both sides, very car oriented, grandfathers like their cars and vehicles. And then my dad didn't really have that interest, but lo and behold, must be in the blood.
Must be. It was just dormant in him, man.
I latched
Maybe you
onto
gotta wake him up a little bit, show him how to tinker with the engine.
And at some point, there's a little bit of regret too, because who would have known that like $1 little toy die-cast Hot Wheels would turn into crippling financial decisions in my adult life, right? Like it's
dude, the Hot Wheel was the gateway drug per se.
100%. You just add a bunch of zeros now to that one, and here we are.
It's like you look at the little Hot Wheel right there. It's like, okay, it's just a couple bucks at the Dollarama or something.
Well, it's so funny too. Like I still buy like some of the real ones because I like collecting them. What car person doesn't like collecting their little Hot Wheels?
Bro, I got one of my friend's son. He has a stack, like probably like hundreds of thousands worth.
Yeah, right. Like who doesn't? And then you have sometimes the cashier be like, "Oh, like this is a sweet gift for, do you have a kid or how old's your son?" And I'm like, this is
mine.
Yeah, this is
It's my treat.
Big dog over here.
Call me a kid. You talking smack.
Yeah, but no. So I think the big thing for me is just is the sense of freedom. Right, you can go out on the road. I mean, with the price of gas, sometimes I don't get out as much as I would like to. But there's something about just going on the road, just being you in your car, just hearing the sound of the engine, just that peace of the night, just cruising. That to me is a big solace for me. And maybe not everyone's going to understand this, but to me, the car, because I was torn, my midlife crisis, if you will, kind of happened at the same time as COVID. 2020 happened, and my solution to the whole thing was I'm just going to buy a car, right? Not going to think too far ahead. I'm young, I'm single, I don't have much responsibilities. I'm just going to buy the car. So in the last 5 years here, that car has seen so much of me. It's been there on my best days, on my worst days, when I, hit goals and I was super, super happy. It's seen heartbreak. It's seen tears. It's almost become a part of me now. And I know to some people that might be like, this guy's crazy. Who did you get on your podcast, Evan? Like that makes zero sense to me. That's just a hunk of metal and it gets me from point A to point B. And I completely get that. But for someone like myself, there's just so much more than just monetary value attached to that car at this point. Sometimes when I feel like almost no one's there for me, the car is there, right? So that's why when something breaks, I'm going to make sure do everything in my power to make sure that it's back on the road. Feel like I owe her that, right? Like it's one of those things where to me, it's just become, it's something I'm super passionate about. It's beyond just the four wheels to me. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
To have that connection with a vehicle, certainly that resonates with the group as well. Okay? I mean, something you guys can bond over.
Yeah.
Is that what inspired the birth of Underground Kings?
I think it was just like-minded people just wanting to have fun, go to events, so you have a group to enjoy it together. Because nothing, I mean, don't get me wrong, as I just said, like I enjoy my car, regardless if there's someone they're with me or not. But it's a community. It's a sense of belonging. I think as humans, we all want to be a part of something, that like a community. And for me, it just happened to be the vehicles. There's people that I've met and associate with and become friends with that I would have never crossed paths with had we not, been a fan of cars. And it's something that I would say passes all the normal boundaries. Doesn't matter if what their background is, what their political beliefs might be, their faith beliefs might be. It doesn't matter, the background, race, all those things. At the end of the day, we're all passionate about the cars. We all have our goals. We have our plans with the vehicles. You see generational stuff, which is really cool. You see, that's one thing that I want to do. Should I have any kids, I would love to. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll be a little too attached, but I would love to pass on the car, whether it be the graduation car or whatnot, assuming that it's still legal because it's gas, right? But you see the generational, or you see the grandfather's car, pass it to the dad, who pass it on to the grandson, right? And you see it at the car show. Yeah. And I think that is absolutely so cool that it's something to pass on, and it's something to do together as a family. I feel like that's the one thing I'm also looking forward to, is it's something that you can go in the garage and figure it out together. You can YouTube it, or you know how to do it, and you can build some quality time together, and someone else can hold the flashlight for a change.
And what about if you got two sons, though?
Oh, that's
you just gotta pick the favorite.
Yeah, I would have to, eh? Yeah, that's a problem at a later day.
They'll be listening to this. You're like, man, so angry.
Yeah, we'll see which one helps me out more, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so future, sons of Nathan, get that. Be nice to your dad.
Well, it's funny too about the car things, because it's provided me a sense of focus too. It's provided me some guidelines. I like to say it's kept me out of trouble, but at the same level, it's gotten me into trouble. But it's something where, I don't know about you, it's easy to get distracted. You have goals, especially maybe with finances. If I didn't have the car, I can assure you I would still be where I would be. I think in terms of, I don't see, like, basically what I'm communicating is I don't see the money being any different. Like I would have found something else, but because of the car, I'm a lot more focused. It's like, oh, should I buy this collectible, or should I go for this trip? Should I buy this fancy elaborate meal? Should I order skip the dishes? Things like that. It's like, no, I have parts I want to get. I upgrade.
Keeps you more disciplined.
Payments. Yeah. It's given me a degree of discipline and focus that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. Because if you didn't have this passion, then you'd be able to squander more money and put it else to skip the dishes, right?
Yeah. Or I'd want to get like wasted every night. And obviously if I'm driving, I can't do that. Right. So that's something that's kept me focused. And like I said, it kept me out of the trouble to a degree, but then it's also like you're at a meet or whatever, and you're zipping along just slightly above the speed suggestion, and when you see the lights and you're like, uh-oh.
Bro, I've repeated this quote like 4 podcasts, but there's a saying that if you find something you're passionate about, then you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But at Apple, that is total crock. You will work harder than you ever thought was possible, but the tools will feel lighter in your hands, by Tim Kroc. And that's testament to your endeavor when it comes to finding all these parts and making sure you got the budget and adding value and meaning towards this car, and you baby it. And certainly that floods to how you treat relationships as, fragile, but at the same time, something that you need to work on and that you value very much. We all need something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like you can have many of that. For me, the gym is like that.
Yes, yeah.
It's
same. Yeah, the gym's important.
And then you'd said that working and connecting with other people, it's truly liberating, hey, to have when you're just not talking about anything but the parts, like, and looking at it from different angles. Have you tried this? Oh, could it be the oil? You changed the oil? Spark plug. No, that's gotta be from this part. Get that from here. And
Yeah.
it's like exchanging information like that just deepens your passion and deepens the relationships that you have with those people, and makes you feel more grounded and more human. Yeah. What parallels do you see between your love for sports and cars, especially when it comes to teamwork, strategy, and performance?
Well, it definitely with sports, with the teamwork thing that goes hand in hand. I mean, you hear people talk about it all the time. You hear about it in podcasts all the time. The parallels between sports and whether it be the work world or personal lives, right? Teamwork is everything. You could be the best at what you do, but that's only going to get you so far. It often is going to require a team, whether it be in a supportive role or running alongside you to make that happen. So I think sports, especially at an early age for me, I was really passionate. Got into the sports. I lived for it. It taught me at an early age that how important it was, and especially again for me, there's definitely some sports, individual sports like badminton, whatnot, that I did extremely well in. And for
Which
singles,
sport was this?
sorry,
Which sport?
oh, badminton.
Badminton.
So yeah, so badminton was something that obviously you don't need, you just whack it. You don't necessarily need that other hand. So I did very well in that. Played varsity and senior and did quite well. The basketball, on the other hand, I knew from the kind of the accepting part. Like I was good. I made sure I hit my shots if they were open. That's actually the one thing I pride myself in, is because I wanted to make sure that if I got open, that it was going in. And because dribbling, shocker, if you're guarding me, chances are I'm gonna drive to your left. Just putting two and two together here. I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm dribbling the ball in front of you. So because of that, I had to adapt and get good at certain things to be still able to compete. So again, that was the other aspect of sports that taught me is just because you have maybe a weakness in a certain area, then I've never been a believer. I've always found it strange when people try to get good. Don't get me wrong, you want to improve your weaknesses, you want to address them, but why spend so much time and effort on them? To me, if you have talents and strengths, that's where your time and effort should go into. That's where you're going to see the real fruits of your labor. I don't want to say you waste it otherwise, but that's where you're going to take it to the next level. It's your strengths and your abilities and your passions. That's what's going to take you to the next level and provide not just for you, but hopefully for your family as well, friends and family.
I believe in that wholeheartedly. You can have a monkey climbing the corporate ladder or a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that monkey going to succeed?
Yeah.
Of course, they're made for swinging branches and going up the trees.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can't force someone to do something that they're passionate about. And certainly, in yourself whether you're capable. If you take some time to self-reflect long enough, the answers will surface.
Mm-hmm.
They will come to fruition. And it's, what do you do with that? Do you actually put in the effort to make sure you keep sharpening that blade? So it's, because it will get dull, no matter how talented you may be. 10 times out of 10, hard work beats talent any day.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share your favorite car or sports memory that really defines your passion for both?
Well, I think that it gives me a sense of pride. Like overall, I try to be humble about things and always remember where I've come from. But it also, I think it's important for you to be proud of accomplishments. And it's one thing that I've always kind of wore with a badge of honor, that I'm going to compete and I want to I want to win. And to me, it always feels nice when you can come out, and it doesn't have to be on a person versus person level, but to hit a goal that you set for yourself, be it for your car or be it for a physical activity, whether it be a reps or a weight, you hit it and you're like, nice, I did that. Or you had a car, and I know one memory that really stood out to me was my very first road trip to the mountains with it. Just driving out to the mountains and taking pictures, like, wow, this is one of my dream cars. Like, it's like you did it after 10 years of whatever. To be honest, I know this is a whole other conversation, but you turn 18 and I feel like they don't really prep you for the world. Like, thank you for teaching me how to calculate a hypotenuse. But since that test, I have yet to be in a situation in my life where I'm like, wow, I could really use my SOHCAHTOA right now. Like, I've never been in that position. And then taxes roll around and I was like,
Are you
who's this for?
CRA? Who is
CRA,
this guy?
Why are they calling me so much? No, but that was the first kind of major, I guess maybe I don't want to say it. Maybe it's not, but something I could asset, if you will, have in front of me and be like, hard work. This is it. Like, this is, it was really important for me. That was a big moment. Got to share it with one of my good friends at the time who also had the same car as I. So that was probably one of the coolest memories I remember.
Dope, man. Up. Yeah, dude, 160. That's tomorrow at 8 a.m.
And you'll be done the next day.
Yeah, I'll be running for 33 hours.
Great.
There's a lot of elevation, so I'll be doing a lot of walking up and down and really steep hills, but we'll be in the pain cave. No guarantees I'll finish though. I'm just attempting.
Right.
Yeah. So certainly I've been telling people, so I can't not finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's literally running the Red Deer. You just go on Highway 2 and...
Is it like 160?
Yeah, that would probably get you close to Red Deer at least.
Yeah, man, you'll have to join me one of these days.
Yeah, we'll start on just a tad below, maybe 100 kilometers, something like that. We'll start.
Yeah.
Start on something.
Yeah, man. So, with the what do you guys do in the car group that you guys have? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so there's car shows, car meets. There's some night events, right? Or we just go out and take pictures. Just go for a cruise, find a nice, whether it be scenery or location or landmark, and take pictures there. So I would say that's the main thing of it, is just enjoying the car together, enjoying our cars together. And I mean, when we go to some of the night events, sometimes it's also nice to be a part of a group, right? Because just like anything, a few bad apples will spoil the bunch. I find for the most part, it's a great community of people that are expressing their passions through different ways. But just like anything, there's some people that are there just to maybe cause some trouble, right? But for the most part, it's for me a lot of fun. Great way to spend an evening, especially in the summer.
Yeah. Do you guys still hold events in the winter?
For the winter, like for me, for example, my car is parked in the winter. I don't like driving it out. Maybe for the odd photo shoot, I'll take it out. But other than that, it stays in the winter. So winter, we generally maybe will do a supper together here and there. Try to keep in touch, make plans for the next year, for the next summer. But outside of that, it's normally pretty quiet.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's fun.
Why the Underground Kings? So you guys what inspired that name?
Oh, that's interesting. So I was pretty open to any name, as long as it wasn't what I would classify dumb. Like, I don't know what would be dumb, but I would know if I heard it. And we were thinking of names, and I always wanted a shout out to the Need for Speed series, which is a video game series. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. I played it
a bunch as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one of the classics, of course, was Underground. So I I was very open to something like paying some sort of homage to that, because a lot of us, I know for me, that was the first thing that outside of the Hot Wheels that got me into cars was the car games. So and racing. So the the underground was part of the name. Thought that was cool, and then a lot of us guys, so it's like Underground Kings, and there was really no objections to that. Even the all the girls out in the group seemed to jump on board. So that's how it came to the Underground Kings. Yeah.
Bro, it's I just picture you guys like underground, all just like speeding, Need for Speed, and there's like girls just waiting for you guys to race, and then down the highway.
I mean, there's definitely the car girls out there, but it's a common joke. It's we know have all these fancy or nice cars, and you think the ladies will come flocking, but it's just other dudes like me approaching you, being like, "Bro, that's a sick
Dude,
car."
that's the gym too. It's like you get 225 on bench, and you have this new PR, you
Yeah.
going consistently, and it's never the girls that come up to you. It's always the other dudes.
It's the
Like,
gym bro.
man,
Yeah.
love the bicep, they're killing it.
Yeah,
It's
you're looking
like,
swole today.
Yeah,
you're
looking
really
swole today.
really pumped. Yeah.
yeah. That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, bro. You have any plans this weekend?
So this weekend actually might be one of the final weekends for me for car things. I have a car show at Driveline that I'm going to be visiting in the afternoon probably. And then depending on how the evening goes, maybe I'll do since the car's out, do an evening event. But it's coming to that time of year where that's dialing down. So then I enter my boring just gym and
Yeah.
that's
Lock
pretty much
in.
it. Like, yeah, just lock in. So yeah, I'm gonna make the most of it. Hopefully the weather stays nice. And
Yeah, hopefully. What's it like driving with one arm?
so for me, I've never really found it too much of a difficulty. I've actually fun fact, I learned how to drive a car in a manual actually. My mom had a good old fashioned 1998 Mazda Protege, and I learned on the gravel roads with the manual. It started off very rough. Her first instruction to me, she won't admit this. She probably will hate that I'm talking on a podcast about this, but her first words to me, learning to drive the manual, was let out the clutch. That's all she told me. Just let it out.
Sure.
No, that was it. So I'm like, okay. So I let it out. Like it didn't stall, but it was like head banging.
I don't know how to drive a manual, so I don't.
Here I am.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it was a disaster. Let's just say that. And she's like, why would you do that? I'm like, you literally told me. I'm just verbatim doing what you told me.
Yeah.
So, but it started off a little rough, but learned how to drive a manual but for my car and a lot of cars now with automatic, it's just, I don't have a 10 and 2 per se. It's I like doing the hand on top and driving it that way, but I haven't found it very difficult at all. It's just something I do. In fact, depending on what's going on, I even just it's perfect. I just stick my stump in the little part of the steering wheel, and I can.
Oh, there we go.
And I mean, I'm probably just jinx myself.
It works well.
Where's a table here, but haven't been in any major incidents yet. So
knock on wood.
Seems like I have the hand on the situation. But
yeah, man. Do you still remember your driving test?
Yeah, I did quite well. I passed on my first try,
and then they actually just removed the advanced, bro. So I know
I felt very validated for my procrastination. I was trying to get that GDL off for years, and the one time I did spend $140, I showed up to the test, and the driver said my car was illegal. It's simple as the tint, because it has illegal tint. I mean, darkish tint on it. Throwing myself under the bus, and he just said that I couldn't use the car. I'm like, well, is there a car that I can use? He's like, not available. So I essentially just threw $140 out the window, and I was like,
donation.
Next year. And then I was going to get my GDL off that year, and then I managed to get a speeding infraction. So then I had to wait another year, but now it's officially off, so I'm all Gucci now.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, no, I did it the couple years before. I was like, what? Like I worked so hard for this advanced.
Oh, but
But
my
still.
insurance hasn't gone down. I got that GDL off and it's only gone up. I
Oh
mean,
yeah?
the speeding infraction probably didn't help, but still, like
Yeah,
you think that
that's
would
fair.
bounce, but
Dude, insurance is expensive, man.
oh,
They-
we're in the wrong business.
yeah, no, really. Maybe we should start looking in this insurance stuff, you know. But yeah, bro, do you have any advice for people right now going through mental afflictions and they don't feel a part of anything
Hmm.
and they feel lost and just not, they don't have a place to belong?
Well, might be a hot take, but one thing that I learned in my life is you have to get comfortable with yourself first. You can't just again. I said it earlier in the podcast. Being a sense of belonging and having a sense of community, sense of family, is crucial. It's super important. So I'm not trying to devalue and go back on what I already said, but at the same time, you need to be comfortable with yourself. Otherwise, you run the risk of maybe getting in with the wrong people, or worse yet, maybe you're trying to be something that you're not. You build somewhat of a decent relationship, but because you're not who you are, you're still not feeling a sense of belonging, even though you're physically in a group. If that makes sense, if you're just pretending to be something to be a part of that particular group, like for example, let's say you couldn't care less what gets you from point A to point B. You're like, hey Nathan, I really like cars, and sure, you might be having a good time. Maybe you have a car now, you're hanging out, you're doing meets, but there's still that you're not fulfilling that part of yourself. So my advice to someone that might be going through that is it's going to be, I'm not saying it's easy. It's probably going to be even a lifelong journey to some degree. And you'll maybe not get the answer in completion, but you need to have at least a basic foundation of who you are and to be really confident in yourself. Because if you're not confident in yourself, if you're not if you're not focused on something, if you don't stand for something, you're not going to stand for anything. You're going to fall for anything. So you need to get yourself and your house in order first. Otherwise, again, maybe you find who you are through a group, but I think it's you run the risk of really putting your future in someone else's hands, which is a very dangerous game if they don't have positive intentions or good intentions. So first, focus on yourself. Take solace in that. It's not going to be easy, uh, but you need to have that down pat first.
Before you conquer the world, you must conquer yourself.
100%.
You must show up to events being yourself. Because if people accept you for that self, then it feels amazing. You feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
But if you show up and you're not yourself, they may accept you and it's great. You'll feel good. But is that who you are? It takes so much more energy to have that mask on all the time.
Yeah.
And let's say they didn't accept you when you are being yourself, then okay, that's okay. That's not your group. But the worst thing is when you're not yourself and they still don't accept you. It's okay. I'm already trying to put up this act onto how you guys want me to be, but it's still not enough.
Yeah.
What is enough? And then you try to search for all these other groups and it'll never be enough if you just keep validating yourself with what other people think of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, seeking validation is a pathway to you're gonna end up hurting yourself because, like for me, for example, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, regardless of if I'm in a group or not, we'll go back to something we've already talked about, is the car. Right, I'm going to enjoy my car whether or not I'm a part of a group. Like that is something that gives me energy, that gives me time to unwind, something I can focus on my goals and aspirations around. That's something that's solid regardless. The fact that now I've attracted some people, or maybe I've been attracted to people because of our common interests, and now we have a group, a community, a sense of kinship. That's fantastic, but it's genuine too. It's not something that I went out and bought and am trying to do, seeking their validation and approval so I can belong. Because, like you said, it's going to be draining. It's going to have the opposite effect.
Real talk, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the long-term podcast.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a person I greatly admire, look up to. I hope you never stop being you.
Oh, I appreciate it. It was an honor to be here, and I love what you're doing too, pursuing your dreams. And this was a fun experience. And for bringing me into your studio, this was awesome.
Yeah. This would never be a reality without the people that come on and engage in my delusion. No, I'm kidding. Engage in my passions and reality, and just it's beautiful to have long form content like this and to actually get the holistic insight onto the context of other people's imaginations and dreams and the reality of what it is to be human.
100%. It's a wonderful platform.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Thank you again. But yeah, as always, to everyone listening and watching, there is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope, strengthen your faith, and keep it long term. Peace. Nathan, Graham, everyone.
Have a good one.